young entrepreneurs who have energy and ideas. We have, under this Republican administration, an education system that is failing our kids, it's failing our teachers, and falling further behind. Democrats understand that, and Democrats will change that. The real American dream, the dream of a better way, the spirit of competition and achievement in this nation is alive in this hall tonight because Democrats have kept that dream alive. We understand the need for a national energy policy that includes coal and clean coal technology. We understand that to improve education, we have to get the drugs out and the discipline back in our schools. We understand that for America to be strong, this nation must return to the basic democratic values of common sense and hard work. The Dukakis-Benson team and this party understand that we must separate ourselves from the policies of the past and embark on a new course for the future. In Kentucky, we've done that. Change is what this party is about, and change is what this ticket is about. Positive change, practical change. In Kentucky, our families are strong, our communities are supportive, and our courage is abundant. Kentuckians have a vision for America, and we're passionate about it. And come this November, Kentuckians are going to vote for leadership that shares our vision. This November, Kentucky and America are going to elect Michael Dukakis and Lloyd Benson. Thank you very much and good night.
There is no person in America who better exemplifies woman power than our next speaker, Mary Rose Ocar of Ohio. She is a leader by any standard. She has earned the title of a leader. She has served for 6 terms from her native Cleveland area. She is the vice chair of the Democratic Caucus. She is my appointee as an official representative of the United States House of Representatives to the National Democratic Committee. She is the vice chair there on that committee of our platform committee and had an important role in drafting the planks of that platform. She is chairperson of an important banking subcommittee and presides over the economic health of much of our nation. She is a powerful person, but a person who wears that power with grace. I present to you the Honorable Congresswoman Mary Rose Ocar of Ohio.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ohio. Thank you. We know our own. They put me here. Thank you very much. And thank our dear Speaker, Jim Wright. Let's have a round of applause for Jim Wright. Tonight we are here to honor Morris K. Udall of Arizona. They love you, Mo. A member of Congress for 27 years, a man who himself aspired to the presidency but was proclaimed by a columnist to be too funny to be president. I have often been accused of having a sense of humor, Mo acknowledges, but it's better to have a sense of humor than no sense at all. Mo's sense of humor has served him through triumphs and adversities. He is truly the Will Rogers of Congress. Mo has been called the eternal optimist. He lost his right eye in a childhood accident, but that didn't stop him. He was a scholar, a professional basketball player, a pilot, and a captain in the Army Air Corps. He was first elected to Congress in 1961, and he has served with distinction ever since. Mo Udall will serve for many years to come. Mo led the fight for civil rights. Mo pioneered legislation for Native Americans and reformed campaign finance laws. And although Mo has had Parkinson's disease for more than 10 years, as chair of the Interior Committee, he continues to oversee 1/6 of all federal legislation. With the signing of Mo's Alaska's Lands Act, America doubled its national park system. Once I said to Mo, "You know, Mo, you're like a god. You oversee all the mountains and the valleys and the lakes and the streams." And he said, "No, I'm not God, but my middle initial is K, and that stands for King." One day soon after President Reagan appointed James Watt Secretary of Interior, you remember James Watt, right? Reagan met Mo at the White House and he said, "Tell us the latest jokes, Mo." Mo just shook his head. He said, "I can't, Mr. President. You've appointed them all." You know, Mo ran for the presidency himself. And on the campaign trail, he went into a barber shop. He put out his hand to the first man in the chair, and he said, "Hi, I'm Mo Udall. I'm running for president." And the man replied, "Yeah, we were all just laughing about that. You know, Arizona's been shut out of presidential sweepstakes. Barry Goldwater ran. He lost. Mo Udall ran. He lost. Babbitt ran. Sorry, Bruce. He lost. Arizona's the only state where mothers don't tell their children they can grow up to be president." Only kidding. And at the 1976 convention, Mo was the great healer, the great unifier, the great statesman. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you one of our most respected lawmakers, one of the greatest wits of our time, a leader of our democratic family. Ladies and gentlemen, Morris King Udall.
Thank you, Mo Udall.
There's an old story of this guy that went to a boring convention, and after about 4 days, someone said everything had been said, but not everyone had said it.
Yes, it is.
And I leave you tonight with two thoughts. Just say Mo, and let's go out and give those Republicans a beating.
Ladies and gentlemen, the former Congressman from New York, Mr. Herman Badillo.
Mr. Speaker and fellow Democrats, those of us who care about the future of American cities have begun in recent years to look for leadership and guidance to our next speaker, the mayor of Boston, Ray Flynn. Working closely with Governor Michael Dukakis, Mayor Flynn has been developing for the past 5 years an urban agenda which is becoming a model for the cities of this country. Mayor Flynn's urban agenda includes developing specific programs in housing, healthcare, and neighborhood development. His leadership has been recognized in his appointment as chairman of the U.S. Conference of Mayors on Homelessness and Poverty. I have time, but for only one of the many programs which he has initiated, and that is the Neighborhood Linkage Program for rebuilding the city. Under this program, a developer who wins the right to build an office or luxury housing building must also agree to develop a parcel of land in a low-income neighborhood. In this way, not only is the city rebuilt, but at the same time, it is done without any federal, state, or city subsidies. You see, Mayor Flynn understands that our cities do not have to be abandoned or become dumping grounds for the problems of our society, but that they can not only be rebuilt, but at the same time become desirable, lively, and exciting places in which to live and work. I present to you another long-distance runner from Massachusetts who has miles and miles of achievement to go, the mayor of the city of Boston, Mayor Ray Flynn.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Badillo. Ladies and gentlemen, America is facing a disaster of equal or greater proportions to any natural disaster we have ever faced. If you took the greatest earthquakes, the most ferocious hurricanes, the most vicious fires, all together, they would not take the toll in terms of millions of human lives and billions of dollars that the onslaught of drugs are taking on the streets of America today. Clearly, no issue is more devastating in one which is gnawing at the social fabric of America more than drugs. It is destroying our cities, our neighborhoods, our families, our children. Simply put, we must put an end to this urban terrorism. It is time for drastic measures to protect our nation from this most destructive enemy. We need mandatory drug education for every child, beginning with the first grade. We need much tougher penalties for drug pushers. We need to guarantee treatment and rehabilitation for every individual trying to put back their lives. And most importantly, we need to end the poisonous pipeline of drugs flowing into our borders from drug-producing nations. The next administration must meet the challenge of this unnatural disaster as it would any natural disaster. We need tough and forceful leadership to take on this challenge. Ladies and gentlemen of the 1988 Democratic National Convention, no person has done more as an elected official to combat this disaster than our next speaker, Congressman Charles Rangel. As chairman of the House Select Committee on Narcotics and Drug Abuse, he has been a leader in fighting for the passage of the funding for the Anti-Drug Abuse Act of 1986 and newer and tougher legislation to help America fight this public enemy number one. My friends, fellow Democrats, I am proud to introduce to you a true hero in the fight for a drug-free America, a future based on leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, from the great state of New York, Congressman Charles Rangel.
I love you, New York. Mike Epstein. Thank you so much, Mayor Flynn, and thank you for your leadership in the Conference of Mayors in getting the Congress to respond to the needs of our local and state communities in this great fight against drug abuse. My fellow delegates and fellow Democrats, we leave this convention feeling a lot better about ourselves and a heck of a lot better about our party. We leave Atlanta to return to our hometowns throughout these United States to make America better and to keep hope alive. Last night, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, in his electrifying speech, asked the poor and the powerless of our country to hold on, that help was on the way, that our jobless, that our homeless will no longer have to be hopeless. Drugs will no longer have to be an alternative to the next generation that should be our leaders. The failure of the Reagan administration to stop the hundreds of thousands of tons of marijuana heroin, and cocaine in coming to these United States, and making this a very threat to our national security, will forever be recorded in our history as a very tragic period. We have seen that drugs have destroyed our families, our homes, our communities, threaten us around the world as small democracies are held hostage. Parents wonder, is my child next, or have they already fallen victim to the scourge? And yet, as we see countries overproducing drugs, exporting increases in drugs, it is shameful to see that we have a foreign policy, a disgraceful foreign policy that has our great nation dealing with international drug traffickers and international bandits. When we have a foreign policy that cannot speak out on the issue, how outrageous it is that even today we have yet to hear one word of protest from our Secretary of State, George Shultz. With a multi-trillion-dollar defense budget, isn't it shameful that we have not heard from an offer from Secretary of Defense Colucci to support efforts to protect our skies and our borders from the intrusion of drugs? Isn't it shameful that as we try to reduce our demand for drugs, that we've never heard one word from Secretary of Education Bennett for a federal program to serve as a model? But no, we hear them with slogans, zero tolerance, just say no, throw the kids in jail. For those that are afflicted, we've never heard one word of compassion from the Secretary of Health and Human Services to say that we want to make certain that each person who has fallen victim to this disease will be treated. And today, we have not one federal program for drug rehabilitation. The only thing this administration would say do is to overpack your prisons with them, to send them into the streets, homeless, and perhaps even to have the death penalty that would eliminate, in the Reagan administration's feelings, all of the problems. But who is going to do the arresting? In the entire Drug Enforcement Administration, we have a mere 2,800 total agents in the United States and abroad. And this administration still insists and resists that not one nickel of federal money is necessary for those dedicated law enforcement officials that are fighting in the trenches each and every day without the partnership of their federal government. But then again, who could ever believe that an administration could be serious if the person that they put in charge of the domestic and the international program is a guy named Ed Meese, who spent more time in the grand jury as a defendant than outside as a prosecutor? And so, we shall keep hope alive that help is on the way, and these programs will lock into place, and we go home as better delegates and better Democrats for a better America. Thank you.
You're going to want to hear, and you're going to want to honor the next speaker. A short distance from this hall is a monument erected to the memory of a man who stirred our consciences and awakened the consciousness of a nation that needed to be prodded. He is a man who had a dream, a man who spoke of a single web of destiny that binds us all together. The monument is erected to the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. I recommend for our inspiration that while we are in Atlanta, we visit the monument to Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. And I recommend that for our immediate inspiration, we give attentive ears to that woman who was closest of all to him, who comforted him when he was afflicted, who encouraged him when he was tempted to be discouraged. It has been said of Coretta Scott King that if there was a cause, she was there. There is a cause, and she is here. And it is my very great honor to present to you that great lady, Coretta Scott King.
Weeks from today, on August 27th, we will commemorate the 25th anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream for America by marching on Washington once again. On that August afternoon in 1963, more than 250,000 people from all walks of life assembled in the lengthened shadow of the Lincoln Memorial. On that day, Martin Luther King Jr. stood before the nation and the world and declared his dream for America. Martin's dream was embraced by many Americans, some like Medgar Evers, John and Bobby Kennedy, and countless others already mentioned here this week have sacrificed and even given their lives in pursuit of that dream. Under Martin Luther King Jr.'s leadership, the civil rights movement awakened the conscience of America and achieved great victories in the struggle for equality. His accomplishments are much in evidence in this historic convention. The state of Mississippi, for example, was described by Martin as sweltering with the heat of injustice. Yet in 1986, Mississippi elected Michael Espy, the first grandson of a former slave, to the Congress since Reconstruction. It has also sent to Georgia this week, a former Confederate state, a fully integrated delegation to this convention, chaired by a black man. Black Americans have made great strides in the political arena as speakers of state legislatures, as chairs of 8 congressional committees, and there's even a black American, William Gray, chairing the Congressional Budget Committee and this convention's Platform Committee. And tonight, I want to pause to say, Jesse, Martin would be proud of you. And we are all proud of you for the way you have broadened and expanded the base of political participation in America. So many who were formerly locked out are now locked in. As a disciple of Martin Luther King Jr., your campaign has brought new hope to millions who had given up on ever participating in the political process. These accomplishments serve to remind us that today's dreams can be tomorrow's reality. But we must be willing to work together, to pray together,